progress.
There you are. Okay, sorry, we had a little technical thing here. I think it's more technical error than than a thing, but that's okay. Hi, Caitlin. Good to see you here. Let's see here. We'll get started in just a minute. We'll let don't have too many announcements today. Some of you guys, it was good to see you the other night at our main meeting where we had Miss Watkins talking about for the CPA, talking about all the things going on. I would talk a little bit. I don't know if anybody's seen the or knows much about the Corporate Transparency Act that it was just enacted as of the first of the year. And if you have an existing corporation, LLC, or anything like that, you do have to go sign up on this new CTA before the end of the year. If you have any company that you're going to put into effect this year, starting the new one, you will need to probably get an attorney to do this for you. So there's a lot of stuff, and I have a link I will share with you in a little bit here. So, Laura, are you there?
Sure.
Okay, hold on just a minute. We'll let Laura give her disclaimer and then we'll get started.
Laura, you're muted, hon.
How about now? Okay, good morning and welcome everyone. First, I'd like to do a bit of housekeeping. Feel free to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Please be mindful of everyone else by muting yourself while others are speaking. You're welcome to put any contact information that you want to share into the chat. We meet here to share deals, look for deals and solutions we have in need with our real estate. We are not your financial advisor, attorney, or accountants. We do not endorse or recommend any specific solutions or contractors here. You're advised to do your own due diligence to your own satisfaction before you invest. The first Friday of each month is normally Ask the Attorney with Ms. Catherine Davis. Our meetings are typically recorded, so only share what you want others to know.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, let's see. I don't really have too many announcements today. We do have our lunch that's going to start back up at Applebee's over on Olive, and that's going to be the first Tuesday of the month. So you might want to mark your calendars. That's going to be from 11 to 1. And as you know, we're not doing our breakfast anymore. I don't know if it was too early or what the case was, but a lot of people didn't want to meet there. And our lunches have always been popular. I know we started that. The first one I did, I think it was back in 2010. And then when, we had a lot of good lunches there, and it grew into quite a bit. And then when COVID kind of hit, then they closed down for a while, and we started meeting here on Fridays. So that's continued. In fact, we will be going into our 5th year coming up here in May, or no, actually April, beginning of April. And I know Miss Catherine Davis, who she's the one that helped us kind of start this with all the legislative updates and things with the court systems. And we've turned this into our networking event that we do every week now. So, and I always look forward to this, and we have not missed one yet, even on, there's only been a couple of holidays, but we still meet no matter what. There was 3 of them I could not personally head up, but I still made sure they work because we have no excuses anymore with technology other than things going wrong in the meantime. And I think it's usually pilot error more than anything. So anyway, so mark your calendars for the lunch. Then next month on our main event in, let's see, at the Moolah Shrine Center. Let's see, that will be on the 20th, actually, of February. We do have Chris Kleewine, who's a master wholesaler here in town. If you want to see how to find some off-market properties, I know we had a couple of the meetings we talked to today. We talked to some people about how to find some properties off market, and that seems to be a lot of concern for a lot of people, is how to find off market properties. So that's something we're going to do. We have many other things coming up. So somebody said I'm breaking up. Well, it's probably a frozen line here. So anyway, so I guess we'll start off. Does anybody have anything they want to buy or sell this morning? Got anybody that has any properties for sale? All right, thank you. Hear me? Anybody looking to buy anything? I know
Hey,
John.
yeah,
There you go, John. Go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, I'm looking for a house to buy, preferably something that, below market and needs rent. There would be a rental. Uh, I look primarily in the Florissant, Hazelwood, Overland, Blackjack, uh, St. Anne areas. So, 2 or 3 bedroom home needs a little bit of work. Not a gut rehab, but something that does require some repairs.
Okay, so you're looking for something kind of on a wholesale basis, maybe 2 or 3 bedrooms, not a full gut rehab. Do you have any certain amount of money you're wanting to stay within, John?
Probably less than 150 all in, purchase and rehab.
Okay. All right. And would you like to share your contact information with us?
Yeah, my phone number's area code 314-324-7621. And my email is jonco314@aol.com.
All right. And would you like to put that in our chat also for somebody to write that down?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you, John. So if anybody has a property they're wanting to sell up in the North County area, get a hold of John there. His contact information will be in the chat. Okay, David's internet's acting up. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that going on right now. I think some of us are frozen to the ground. I'm not sure. Ours worked pretty good this morning, and then we had a couple of little hiccups in the last hour or so. So we're good. Okay, was anybody else looking for any properties? I see Jim up there. You're here from Florida. What are you doing these days, Jim? No, you're not looking for anything? You're
And
muted.
unmute. No, I'm here. I'm still here. I'm not down in Florida.
Yeah,
I'd rather be here with all the cold weather now, if you believe that.
Kind of guessed that by your Hawaiian shirt you got on there. So,
Oh, just no. I wish I was though.
Yeah, it's not real hot in certain places down there.
I was just talking to a friend of mine in Pensacola, and he said it was a little cool, but not as bad as up here.
Yeah. I see Amber, you got your hand up. Would you like to unmute yourself and say something to us?
Yeah, I had a question. So after the Tuesday, which was a great meeting that we had, after that meeting, someone came up to me and asked a question that I didn't know the answer to. So I said, hey, Friday is a great time to ask the question to other investors and or landlords. The question was, the gentleman said he has a son who lives in one of his houses. He was interested in renting out a bedroom. Is it against the law to specifically market to a specific demographic of renters? So his question was, hey, I have a son. Can I specifically go out and market to other males? I don't want a female because I believe he said his son is disabled. So is that legal? Is it illegal? I really wasn't sure, but I figured this would be a good place to ask.
Well, that's a great question. I don't know if it's illegal. My understanding is you need to do the same thing for everyone. So if you disqualify somebody on one thing, you have to do it straight across the board to all your applicants. Now, that's really a better question for Catherine Davis, our attorney that comes on here. And I believe she's still out of the country and will be back here soon, but that's one that you could probably ask her office. I know Chris Bosler's been taking a lot of her calls. Let me get there, see what I got here. That might be a better question for them. But I don't think it's actually illegal as long as you do the same thing for everyone. That's my understanding. So if like
Can I
it's
pipe in there, John, just a little bit?
Mhm. Sure.
I would say that to answer that question, I agree, it is not illegal. However, if you were to put out a call and decline an application without even looking at them, somebody could sue you for discrimination. So it's not illegal, but you could come across a lawsuit. So what I would suggest is you put the call out, and then during the interview process is when you can be picky. You can't say you cannot apply, but when you get the person in front of you is when you can disqualify them for whatever disqualifications you or that client that asked you that question have, as long as, like John said, it's straight across the board. So you can't say, oh, well, this female would be good because she's a tomboy and would get along with my son and could take care of him because of her personality. Like if you're going to disqualify other women, you can't take her. So that's kind of what you need to consider and maybe advise that client.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, there we go. Here's Catherine Davis's office number. I would suggest you call them to get, exact clarification for your specific situation. Their number, let's see, is 314-962-1115. And I always like to run everything by Kathy, even if I think I know the answer sometimes, because you can't really be too safe these days. I don't think anyway, because there's just we live in a very litigious society and people are looking for reasons. And there are a lot of attorneys looking for paychecks. There's a lot of them that are funded by our tax dollars too, that like to look at things. So I would probably recommend calling her office in the meantime, Amber. But that's a great subject, and maybe when you find that out, you could come back and let us know what she says too.
Yep, will do.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Okay. Anybody else got anything that they have a question on, like to buy, sell? Anybody working on anything? I know a lot of the things are freezing right now. I've seen a couple of people talking about that earlier this morning, about some of their rental properties and some of the things going on, water freezing coming out of there. And I don't know, this is probably not an ideal time to get a plumber today, although we're meeting one later today, not for pipes, but for other things, because they're hooking up our water heater and a few things on the property we're building. So hopefully we may even have hot water by the end of today. You never know. If all goes well. So,
Hey, John, I know
Yep.
some people have asked about contractors. I've actually had some luck lately using Thumbtack. Similar to Angie's list I used to use years ago, until that kind of changed. But I look at the reviews that other customers have given, and it's worked out well for me. I had some flooring put in. I had some plumbing work done. The work I wanted done from the plumber, I didn't need a licensed plumber. I just needed someone that, knew what they were doing, and found a pretty good person. So that's just another resource if someone's looking for from repairs. And they were all done within a couple of days of me inquiring.
thank you, John. That's good advice. I know Lloyd has talked about them a couple of times, and I personally have not used them, but I think that's another great resource to have. So did you just go online and look them up? Is that what you ended up doing?
Yeah, I just downloaded the app onto my phone and went through some questions as far as what I was looking for, and it gave me some options. And I looked at prior reviews from other customers, and I set up a time for them to come out, and most of them were pretty quick on getting out there and ready to do the work. And like I said, both times it worked out. And actually, the plumber, I had him out a couple of times for some other different things. And he knew how to do some other. I had a problem with my furnace that he noticed, and he told me what needed to be done with it. And I could do the work myself. But he identified the problem for me. I looked it up on Google on how to do it and did it myself. Otherwise, I would have had to call an HVAC person to come.
Hmm. So did you make, I just kind of have this question on the side, I guess, a little bit. Did you make actually a relationship with the contractor, or do you go through Thumbtack each time?
I went through Thumbtack. I think that's what you're supposed to do. He gave me his card, but I think technically you're supposed to go through Thumbtack when you're using it. I did actually both times.
Okay. Okay, good. You had good luck with them. I like the way you said you read looked through some of the reviews too, because I know that can tell you a lot. And I know it's on a lot of the stuff we do. In fact, one of my coaches always says to look at the 3-star reviews, because that's where you'll find out what they're lacking and what they'll, what they do fairly well, because those are usually pretty good ones. Because the 5-star ones, obviously you want somebody that has a lot of those. And then the 1-star, some of those are just because the guy was late or something. There's things that happen, and those aren't always the best ones. So you kind of look at some of them in the middle, and you might be able to get an overall picture of it. I know in a lot of the reviews too, I know with Catherine Davis, we a few years ago, she had all bad reviews, but she didn't know any better. Well, it was all from people that she evicted, because she's an eviction attorney. So I know I went in there, and I know we've had a couple of things here. We had quite a few people that used to tune in when she first started doing this, and we got in there to give her some honest reviews on stuff, because when things go right, a lot of times you don't give any reviews, but all the ones that she had were actually the ones that people she evicted with no money. They tore up the houses. I mean, you could just go, and what they ought to do maybe is attach some of that to CaseNet, because you can kind of see the people that leave the reviews. It's the same kind of people that they're being sued and with other things. So the reviews can be a real good thing, though. So thanks for bringing that up, John.
Forgot about those.
Yeah. Okay. Has anybody else got anything they'd like to maybe buy or sell? Anything you're working on? Anything you'd like to share this morning? Oh, everybody quiet and frozen.
John, I was
Yeah.
talking to a fellow the other night, was trying to find a plumber. He said he couldn't get anybody to come out. And this wasn't just, last few days. He said he just had the darndest time. They were all tied up and he couldn't find one. So he probably didn't know about Thumbtack. Maybe that was a good way to go. But,
Yeah, that's great advice, I think, right there, because I kind of wouldn't even think of them a lot of times. We try to get referrals from people we know.
Yeah. But, there's a limited amount, I think, out there, and, they're all busy. And
that's a good point. They're busy. The ones that are good are busy, and you almost don't want somebody that can drop everything and be over within an hour, because there's something to be said about that. I know with the contractors we had, even on a lot of them doing the inside and some of the stuff we're working on, we had to wait a few months for them to even get us on the schedule.
So, when I was a practicing engineer, in good times, the good engineers were definitely busy, and the so-so engineers that I was aware of were busy too, because there was just so much work out there. And then the bad times, which there's usually enough work for engineers, but you know, the good ones are still busy, but the ones that are marginal, you know, they're just not as busy. So, you know, it's just reality. That's law, supply, and demand.
And you want to be with somebody that's good too. I mean, I'd rather, like the electrician we're using, he was referred by a lot of the other contractors and they all said the same thing. He's not the cheapest, but he's the best in the area. It's like, well, I'm not looking necessarily for the cheapest because the cheapest doesn't always get you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got to do it again next year, what's the point?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple things. Plumbing, you don't want to skip on plumbing. You want quality work and you want quality fixtures. Very important. It's not worth it putting in a cheap faucet. Not that you got to get the best, but I usually go in, I'll say I want something middle of the road, you know, not the most expensive, but definitely not necessarily the cheapest, because plumbing, it'll just cost you an arm and a leg to have a plumber come out. That labor costs to kill you.
Right.
With electrical, you need to make sure you have a qualified electrician, and you want it done right, because you know, that stuff can kill you.
Oh, well, if, just a fire alone is what you don't want. And then you got an insurance claim and all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, insurance claim, and then having it up to code. So you got to be careful when you hire people that do this. When I always get scared when somebody tells me they can do everything. You know, I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician, I'm a carpenter, you know, and a concrete, or you know, that starts scaring me when they're professional in all areas, you know, because they're not. You know.
Yeah, you want somebody that focuses on what they're really good at.
Yeah, I've always tested electrical ones, especially. I throw a few questions at them and I can tell right away how much they know or don't know. But
that's a great point.
Plumbing, especially, I mean, you got to have it done right. It's not something you can go back and get a quick fix on. You know, they got to, you know, and you got to know their areas of expertise. But when you get Joe Blow that says he knows everything, then watch out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of those out there too. I mean, handymen are fine for some things, but not for the professional skilled things.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, you know, you got certain things. You know, plumbing fixtures are the worst, because you know, you got a shower faucet that's leaking, and you got to get in there and pull out the cartridge and whatever. I mean, you got to know what you're doing on that. If you don't, you can really mess it up. When it's built into a wall, you want it done right, you know. So just, you know, based on many years of seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly out there, you know.
Yeah, well, plumbing's nothing to mess with, because and a lot of the renters won't tell you too. You know, rental properties, if you got a leak, they'll wait until the floor falls in. You know, it's just, I've had that happen too. So it's like, well, it's been dripping for a while. It didn't look bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Goes by, and
then you got mold and everything else. We had a refrigerator that had a leak down at the water line, right where it comes into the base of the refrigerator. And it was, you know, up against the wall, and the guy that was renting from me, he's a good guy. And they just happened to notice one day, and, you know, then we had the leaking water down the basement on the wall, and we had to take care of the mold issue and what have you. So it do happen, you know, out there, you know, but
no fun. Yeah. You don't want any of that kind of problems. And skilled laborers are getting really harder to find. I know some people setting up some trade schools, and they're really having hard time finding people to go into it, because a lot of the younger people, you know, it used to be they'd get right out of school and go in to get a trade. They're not wanting to do that a lot, you know.
No, they want to just I guess get on the internet and sell stuff or whatever, and do a non labor type job. That's why if you learn to trade one of them at a young age, you can make very good money and have security for life. But, you know, I was trying to get one of my renters, their kid, into Rankin down there. He wouldn't go, you know, so now he's on the phone trying to sell something online or whatever, you know, probably making $15 an hour when he could be making 30.
Yep, and actually have something.
Yeah, and have something. Yeah.
Yep. Well, a lot of people, and I see this a lot too, they'll go on Instagram and they'll see the guy standing next to his jet and his helicopter and think, yeah, I don't have to get out of the couch. I can stay in mom's basement and do this, and it's in the reality is, what is it? Less than 1/10 of 1/2 of 1% or something can actually do that, come up with something.
Well, and the other thing is that it deceives you when you watch these home rehab projects. They start out, they're ripping out a wall, and the next thing you know, they're picking out their tile, what color it should be, and all the stuff that really costs so much money in between, all the electrical, all the plumbing, all the infrastructure of the building, the HVAC, they hardly even talk about. And that's where the real bucks are. It's not what color you paint the walls or what color tile you pick out. It's everything in between there. And that's what is deceiving to somebody who wants to start investing and rehabbing. They should show more of that. Now, this old house does somewhat, but some of these shows out there, it's just, they spend 3/4 of the show talking about what color tile they're going to use and what color cabinets they're going to have and what color, are the wall. It's not reality really, but
They
it
want
makes
to
for a
get
good show.
viewers. Yeah, that's what makes a good show. They want to get viewers. It's not their intention, I guess, to get people interested in doing investing themselves as much as getting entertainment out there.
Yeah, it's entertainment because once they see what it really entails, it would scare a lot of them. They probably wouldn't want to do it. But it's a shame they don't have a show out there that really goes through each step and shows what the plumber really has to tackle and what he's got to deal with, what the electrician has to deal with, what the HVAC guy has to deal with, even a roofer, what he's got to deal with, or concrete work. It's just, it's, but they don't a lot. So many of them don't,
Mhm.
but
Well, a lot of them unrealistic on what they show they bought them for and what they put into it and then what they actually get too. Because there's
Yeah.
a lot of costs they don't show you on there. And even like realtor costs, if you end up selling at retail and you go through a realtor, there's a commission involved there. And I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of them where they didn't even show this kind of stuff. I mean,
yeah.
in holding cost, and I mean, there's just a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Exactly. Yeah. Marketing costs, holding costs, things that they don't tell you in the total. I mean, I'm suspicious anytime they don't show you the true cost of it. And some of it kind of have, but I don't think a lot do, and it's deceiving. Somebody buys a house, thinks they're going to make a mint, and they find out by the time they get done, they're breaking even,
If they break even.
Yeah, if they
A lot
break
of them
even.
go under.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of our group, St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association. We try to bring out the reality of what things really cost and have people in and talk about it. We talk about it, so when you get yourself into buying one of these rehabs, what's involved. And if the first time investors, if they were really smart, they would get an old codger, somebody who's been through it all, and have them come out there and take a look at it and say, okay, this is what's going to have to be done. And this is just a rough idea of what's going to cost you. And you may find out that they're looking at something that's got a foundation problem that's going to cost $10,000 or $20,000, and it's going to blow you out of the water on the rehab costs, irregardless of what's upstairs on the first floor. But that's what we used to do. My wife and I, we would take some of the people that were in our group, the senior people that have been doing it for years, and we invite them out to lunch or dinner. Sit down and talk to them. And that's worth a whole book's worth of knowledge, just talking to somebody who's been doing it for 40 or 50 years.
Right.
But I don't see that done. They want to just look on the internet, see, go to Google, see if they can see, or YouTube, see how to do it, which is okay in some cases. But, to see the big picture, whether or not you're going to buy this house and, what are these costs really going to be? And even when you get older, you still screw up and you think something's going to cost 30 or 40,000 and ends up extra 10, because it's something you didn't see when you bought it.
Yep, I know that too much.
I know, yeah. So you got to have that spread in there, and all these things come into play. But again, real estate is the best way to make money. If you don't have any to start with, you're not born with a gold spoon or silver spoon, as they say, in your mouth. Real estate's the way to do it. Do it slowly, gradually, but intelligently. And, you know, the best advice is talking to the people who've been through it. There's good books out there, but, you know, especially if you're going to be a rehabber, if you're just going to flip it. But even then, you flip, you don't buy it for the right price. You ain't going to flip it for the right price. So
Yep.
it all comes into play either way. So we try to, you know, teach that to the youngins coming in, that, you know, that all comes into account. But I don't see the younger generation reaching out to the seasoned people that have been through this as much, you know. That's what Pat and I did, my wife, and it worked. We sat down and we talked to people, what about this or that? And then when these plumbers or electricians would come in, I'd be right there taking pictures of what they were doing. And I'd write notes. I got a whole binder of notes on plumbing over the years in particular. Watching the plumbers, you know, how they sweat pipe, how they put it together, you know, the different components of the connections, you know, all that comes into play. And because I got a bad memory, so I took pictures and wrote notes, and it, you know, then I could, within reason, depending on what it is, you know, I would do a lot of it myself, but not always, you know, depending on what it was. And I knew what I didn't, how can I say this? I knew what I didn't want to do, and I knew what I didn't know, in the sense that, oh, I don't know how to do that. And I was smart enough to know that I didn't know how to do it. And I would hire a plumber for that, you know. And then you get into, you know, permits and all that too, when you need them and when you don't. And you got to be very careful about that with all the occupancies that you got going. So you got to be very careful what you think you can, even if you can do it, you know, like water heaters. I used to put them in all the time. Well, it's not worth it now in St. Louis County. I don't know about the city, St. Louis County. You put a water heater in and you don't have a sticker on it, and they come out for occupancy permit or inspection. Guess what? They don't see a sticker on that. A lot of them will just flag it right there and say, well, who did this? You say, well, you did it. You're the homeowner, but you're not living in it. You're an owner of the property, but you're not living in it. You know, if you're living in it, that's a different story. But you know, you were supposed to get a licensed plumber to hook up that water heater and put an expansion tank in it, and then they put a sticker on that, inspected by St. Louis County. And if you don't have that, you go for occupancy permit, you could get flagged on that. Then what do? Then you got to find a plumber who's going to come out and look at it and say, yeah, you did it okay, or no, you didn't, and you're going to pay for it anyway. But you know that. So what I'm saying is, that's one example now with water heaters that I don't mess around. And you know, I just get a licensed plumber and have it done. You know, cost me extra
Roughly,
$500
Jim,
more than. Yeah, go ahead.
roughly how much does it cost? Because I was looking at my water heater downstairs in my own house. Roughly how much is it to install a water
You
heater?
know, I'm going from memory, Amber, but I thought it was around 1,300. You know, by the time I was said and done. And I'm going from memory though. If you want, call me back. I can ask my wife and she'll remember better than me.
I
But,
just had a water heater installed in one of my rentals last year, and it was about 1,600. So that's probably
1,600,
fairly.
yeah, 1,500, maybe 1,600. Yeah, you used to be able, you buy it for $500, and hell, with the fittings, 600. You know, if you did it yourself, you'd be done. But now you
Yeah,
need
it's
to
that
have an
labor and that sticker that you pay for.
Yeah. Plus, they all want expansion tanks on them for safety now.
Yeah.
But yeah, what used to cost half that much, now it's double, because you got to have a licensed plumber. But you know, you live and learn, and that's probably one area that, you know, it's not the end of the world. Just go ahead and have it done. You got a new water heater, you got a license on it, and then you're done. But those are the kind of things you need to know about. And you got to know when you need to have a licensed person come in and when you don't. You know, you put a new panel in by yourself, think you know what you're doing, and you don't have a license, you're going to have an issue with that too, with St. Louis County. So even if you know about electrical, you're going to have a permit pulled if you put a new panel in, you know.
Well, even if you don't need a permit, I mean, what we're doing right now, it's 100 miles out of town, and you don't need permits, so you could do anything you want. But I don't want me doing it. I don't want somebody's brother-in-law that does it, you know, is a jack of all trades. We want professionals doing everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things like plumbing and electrical you don't want to mess around with. Okay, You know, 'cause electrical can kill you, and plumbing just make the one hell of a mess when water starts flying from.
Well,
broken
even
pipe.
framing and things like that,
Yeah.
because the first guy didn't have the headers right on the windows and the doors and stuff to where they were really done right. And we had, once we got
Really?
somebody else to come in there, he's like, well, this will work good probably for 2 or 3 years, but this is what's going to happen. None of your stuff's going to work. You know, it's like, well, we don't want that. So he had to redo some of these and put reinforcements in a lot of them, even on the garage doors. And it's like, you know, yeah, it's a lot more money up front now, but that prevents you from down the road having to tear the stuff apart and then redoing it anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So you just gotta be careful, you know. But the moral of the story is what they show you on TV and what's reality is two different things, you know, with these, you know, rehab shows. And it just deceives a lot of the younger generation thinking, oh, I can get in, get out real quick.
Mhm.
And it's not to be scaring anybody, but you just got to know what you're getting into. And having a mentor or somebody you can talk to about these things at these groups, you know, like our club,
Mhm.
is very beneficial, you know, help people out.
Yeah, Chris
I
brought
don't
up
see,
a
I
good
don't
point.
see it done that often, you know.
Yeah, when we were talking the other night, Jim, Chris brought up, yeah, good point. Chris Clewine, who's our speaker next month, he said, you know, most of the groups that he sees, if they would just sit there and talk to us like we did, like we were talking about right there for an extra couple minutes at the meeting, you can learn so much information just on, you know, on just to steer you in the right direction. And just like you're saying, hire a professional to do some of this kind of stuff, you know, and
Yeah.
some things you need stuff for, some you don't. I know when we first started buying rental properties, before we got into our owner financing that we do now, I used to, you know, hire this inspector and he'd charge $400 or $500 depending on the house, and I'd follow him around and talk to him just like what you're saying right there. And he'd give me it was about 15 or 18 pages of notes detailed on everything. And I'd ask him about it. He said, yeah, follow me around. And we did that for, I don't know, I did that for 10 or 12 properties probably.
Yeah.
And we're saying you don't need to spend that money. It's like, no, this is the best education I could probably get on knowing what you know, and there's a couple times I know he saved us tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, by not buying the property.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes they can save you money,
Mhm.
you know, but yeah, just knowing when to walk away from a property. There's so many of them. My wife and I could have bought it. Nope, the numbers aren't going to work. There's not enough spread in it. Or, hey, you got an issue here with this foundation wall. Or the other day, my son and wife were looking at property here in South County, Lindbergh School District, excellent location, but the backyard was sloped way down and they had all these massive decks in the back to make up for a very sloped backyard where a kid couldn't play ball on it. It'd roll down the hill and you couldn't, I mean, it was very steep in the backyard. So they had a deck structure built on it, multiple decks, but the decks were decaying. So right alone, you're talking at least 10,000 bucks, maybe 20, 15 to rebuild all these massive decks. Well, you got to throw that into the mix, you know, and remember that kind of stuff. But anyway,
Yeah, what you don't know is what hurts you. That's for sure.
yeah. And the longer you go, the more you realize, oh, I should walk away from this one, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a appraiser tell me many years ago some of the best deals you'll ever do are the ones you don't do. And
Exactly.
that still rings true today, because some of the ones that had even little red flags that I thought would be okay were the ones that were not the deals I should have done, you know.
Yeah. On the other hand, I've looked at properties over the years and we bought them where I looked at it and right away I could see, you know, if we took out this wall and close this doorway in, we can make another bedroom, blah, blah, blah. And I did this on a number of houses and it functionally made the house flow better and it made it more rentable and more marketable and more in value by just looking at what I could do with a house that was configured for 1950s setup versus in today's terms. And I did that with a number of properties and it made them more valuable and it worked, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, buy a 1-bedroom house where most people say, oh, I don't want to. But then if you look at it, sometimes you can make 2 bedrooms out of it, depending on the configuration. You know, sometimes you got a kitchen and a dining room right next to each other. Well, you can forego that dining room, make that a second bedroom sometimes. And as long as you got a kitchen where they still could have a table, now you got a 2-bedroom versus a 1-bedroom. I've done that before, by just enclosing a couple walls and building a closet inside the dining room, so it qualifies as, as a bedroom. You gotta have so many square feet too, but that's work. And right away, you go from a 1 to a 2 bedroom, that improves your value. Or if you got a basement, walkout basement, you can make a bedroom down there. You can qualify that if it's a walkout basement. You do it right, building a bedroom in the basement if it's a walkout. Or you can cut out the concrete wall and put in a access window. They do that now in some of these very more expensive homes where, they want to put a basement bedroom, but, there's no walkout. So they just cut out the concrete wall and they put in a window that's rated for, I can't think of the term, for a fireman to get through with this air unit on, and then
Egress.
yeah, couldn't think of it. Egress. Yeah, thank you.
That turns your basement into a lower level and makes your house more valuable.
Yes, and they're doing that. If you got an expensive enough home, the numbers work. I forgot what it costs, 5 or 10 grand, but might bump it up in an extra 10 on top of that in value. And much more marketable anyway. So just things like that you learn, but you don't learn it all overnight, right, John?
That's great insights, Jim. Absolutely. Yeah. It's all a learning process. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we have Caitlin wanted to share some stuff on bookkeeping, but at first I was looking to hear, it looks like Steve needs a tuck pointer. Does anybody know a tuck pointer? Do you want to unmute yourself? If you're able to, and tell us where you're at and what kind of, maybe a little more specifics. Maybe not. Let's see him here.
I had a tuck pointer.
I don't right now. It's been a many years since I used one.
I got a guy's name.
Okay.
Now, I've used him a number of years ago. I guess he's still doing it, and he did okay for me. Name's Sal, S-A-L.
Okay.
And 314-805-5410.
0. Okay.
I guess he's still doing it, but I mean, this guy worked for me, but you gotta use your own judgment, but he did okay for me. Now, there's one company that advertises all the time on the radio and on TV, and I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to, what this litigious society is, John says. And they're very good, tuck pointing company. And they're probably the most expensive you'll ever find. Okay. And that's the thing you got to worry about. Anytime you see somebody advertising all the time on the TV or radio, they got paid for that advertising. Yeah, I'm sure they're good, most of them, but they got paid for that advertising.
Yep.
Anyway, hopefully that Sal's still doing it, but and you got to use your own judgment. I'm pretty sure that's a guy
Right.
you.
Yep.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Sure.
See, when you talk to old people, sometimes we know stuff.
Right. You're right.
And there's another one from Yolanda too. She put in the chat.
Pointer Prince.
Israel.
Yes, I've
Huh?
used him before. He's good.
He's good, huh?
Mhm.
Good. I'm gonna put him down.
Yeah, he's done some recent work for me.
Right.
Okay. So there's a couple good referrals for you there, Steve. That might get you in the ballpark there. Is this a city property that you have?
No, in Overland.
Overland, got you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Overland, St. John.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay, there's a couple of referrals, and I'll go ahead and mention this orally too. The one you Linda put in there, just for anybody watching the replay. The tuck pointer is Prince Israel, and his phone number is 314-536-2487. So in case you don't have access to the chat right now, and you're watching the replay, there's a couple of them.
And you can tell him I referred you.
Okay.
What's his name?
Prince Israel.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
All right. There's some good referrals there. All right. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to share with us today? Anybody looking for anything in particular? Or have any services too? I know most of the good contractors are out working right now that usually join us here. So
Hey, John, before
Yeah.
I forget, maybe you mentioned it. When is our February lunch meeting kicking off again? What day is that?
it's the first Monday of the month, which was the 5th of February.
So the 5th of February, we'll have it at Applebee's, right? On
Correct. Yes.
Olive. So everybody knows that. And that's a good opportunity to sit down and talk to somebody across the table. We used to have them all the time. We went to the breakfast meetings, and we're not getting attendance like we like. So we've changed it to the lunch meetings where we used to have them at the Applebee's there at on Olive, right? Just right. It's at the Drury Inn right there, I believe.
Yeah, right at 270 right there. It's a great location, easy to find no matter what part of matter what part of town you're coming from. Yeah, that's a good location right there.
And 11 to 1, I believe.
11 to 1, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. All right, let's see then. Anything else? Jay's got in the chat. He's a private money lender. And let's see. I don't see any. Yeah, there's some contact information. So if you're looking for any private money, I guess you get a hold of Jay. You can, if you want to unmute yourself, I see you still got the crazy kid picture there, Jay. But if you want to unmute yourself and feel free to mention that.
Yep, that's actually me. I mean, that's me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a private money lender, and I focus on. Let me bring my thing up here. Yeah, I specialize in fix and flips, fix and keeps, and refi and reboots. So you can call, I'm having problems with my phone, so it's best if you email me. My email address is there in the chat. And I'll also give you $50 for anyone that borrows from me that you referred to me. And if you want to borrow, I'll give you $50 as a referral fee as well.
Okay. Are there any limits or maximums that you have on that, John?
No, there isn't really. The best thing to do is, number one, you have to have the property under contract. And number two, contact me so I can ask questions about the property and get an application out to you, and you can fill it out and I get into the home office.
Okay, so let me get one more question. Is this your personal money, or are you acting like a broker on behalf of another?
No, I'm lending for another institution.
Okay, all right. Okay, and contact information you gave us, and it's in the chat. Okay,
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like Bond's asking.
Hey, John, real
Yes.
quick, what is he mentioned a reboot? What is a reboot?
You're refinancing a home and you're starting over on the loan. So you're rebooting it. So for example, you're refinancing a loan and you're starting over on the mortgage.
That's not just a refinance?
It's we use different terms. It's actually a reboot.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. And I see, what's the location? I assume you're talking about the lunch at Applebee's, is that correct? Vaughn, are you able to unmute and clarify that? If you're talking about the Applebee's, it's right at 270 and Olive, right at the Drury in there, like Jim said. It's, I know we met there for many years. We actually, shoot, we started our lunches back in 2010, if I remember right. That's the first movies I have, with a real small group of us there, and that turned into be quite a bit. And I know over the years, we got where we took over the whole section. And then when COVID hit, we kind of went to this format here, which is what we've done since then. But the lunches are, like Jim said, that's a great place. It's a great outlet, great place to informally meet and greet and see other people and see what they're doing. I know there was a lot of deals that get done there. A lot of information gets exchanged. One nice thing is we do have this nowadays where we can do this and you can do it while you're driving. You don't have to necessarily schedule that, but there is something about, you know, on location, in-person meetings that you just don't get, you know, that we have on Zoom. It's just not 100% the same. I know this is great that we can do this all the time, but it is good to get out and meet people in person. That's one reason I encourage you to come to our main events at the Moolah Shrine Center. You know, that we have once a month on the third Tuesday of the month, because there's just something about networking in person that you just don't get anywhere else. Yeah, let's see here. Bruce's microphone is not working. And you're looking for siding work, Melissa, to send someone, but would like another bid or two. Okay. You're just looking for bids. I personally don't know of anybody doing siding, but if anybody does, feel free to speak up. Having a construction loan, then refi to longer loan. Does it sounds like you're maybe got a loan to redo some siding, I guess. So, okay. Does anybody have any referral or anybody they might want to recommend for Bruce for siding? Now, how would somebody get a hold of you, Bruce, if they did have someone? Okay, mic not working, but if you could put it in the chat, I could probably say it for anybody watching the replay. Okay. And I know if not, we talked to Caitlin. She was gonna give us a few minutes of time sharing some information on some bookkeeping. So Caitlin, would you like to go ahead and talk to us a little bit?
Yeah, I do have slides that I can share as well, if you would allow me to share my screen.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, there you go.
Awesome. Okay, everybody see my screen okay? Okay. All right, well, warm welcome to everyone joining us today. I am Caitlin. I am the founder of Partners in Bookkeeping and the creator of our Factor Coaching Program. I have a little bit of value for you today, so hopefully it'll give you that value. And then, of course, we do offer bookkeeping services specifically for REI. So we're diving deep into the world of this specialized bookkeeping for real estate investors and exploring how this can make a significant difference in your investment journey. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting out, this is where we want to be. I do want to mention a little bit earlier, we were talking about contractors. If you have utilized contractors, don't forget on the bookkeeping aspect, you do need to provide 1099s by January 31st to any contractor that you paid more than $600 for any of your entities. So keep that in mind as we come through here. And otherwise, this isn't just about me sharing information. It's about us learning and growing together. So I encourage you to be an active part of this. And if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. If you have your own insights or experiences to share, I'd love to hear them as well. As we progress through the presentation, I'll address your questions and thoughts, trying to make it a little bit more specific to your specific concerns and interests. My goal is that you leave this with actionable knowledge and a clearer understanding of how bookkeeping and strategic coaching can transform your real estate investments to help you grow. So the heart of real estate investments can be accurate financial tracking. Otherwise, you don't know where you're at. So this is a fundamental aspect that often decides the fine line between success and setback. In the world of REI, the accuracy of financial records is not just a matter of compliance. It's like a backbone of strategic decision making. Why? Because every decision you make, from acquiring new properties to budgeting for renovations, relies heavily on the clarity of your financial picture. So accurate bookkeeping allows you to have a real-time understanding of your financial health, empowering you to make decisions based on facts instead of assumptions. So let's consider what happens when financial tracking is off the mark. Inaccurate records can lead to a domino effect of negative outcomes, from misjudged cash flows that result in missed opportunities, or worse, financial overextensions. Errors in expense tracking can lead to budget overruns or eroding your profit margins. And perhaps most critically, it can lead to a faulty assessment of your investment's performance, which misleads you about its true profitability or viability. So therefore, accurate financial tracking is not just about keeping your books in order. It's about laying a foundation for informed, strategic, and ultimately successful real estate investment decisions. I'll show you how specialized bookkeeping tailored specifically for REI can transform this challenge into your strategic advantage. In our journey as REI, recognizing and avoiding common financial pitfalls is key. Typical errors range from misclassification of expenses to neglecting regular reconciliations, which can significantly distort your financial understanding. It's not just about recording transactions, it's ensuring each entry accurately reflects your real estate activities. So by being aware of these pitfalls and implementing diligent bookkeeping practices, you safeguard your investments from these avoidable mistakes, ensuring a clearer path to success. Every REI journey is unique, which is why off-the-shelf bookkeeping solutions often fall short. Jim had mentioned a little bit ago that you don't want somebody who specializes in everything, the plumber, the electrician, the contractor. You want to make sure that they are specialized in your field. And the same thing applies to bookkeeping. REI has a lot of unique ventures inside of it, within it, that standard bookkeeping may not be able to address. So whether you're dealing with residential properties, commercial real estate, or a mix, tailored solutions help you manage each aspect effectively. So this approach not only ensures accuracy, but also provides insights specific to each investment, aiding in even more informed decisions. Oops, I went ahead a slide. Our R-Factor coaching program is designed to work hand in hand with your financial data with partners in bookkeeping. So it's understanding the story behind the numbers. And this program helps you to build resilience in the face of market volatility, forge strong relationships for better deals, manage risks intelligently, and drive tangible results. So a holistic approach is where this financial acumen meets strategic foresight, a combination that is essential for long-term success in REI. We're going to skip past that just for sake of time for you. As tax season approaches, the value of meticulous bookkeeping becomes even more evident. With our specialized bookkeeping services, tax prep becomes a smoother process, not a frantic scramble. So we ensure that you're not only compliant, but also strategically positioned to make the most of real estate specific tax benefits. This proactive approach means that you face tax season with confidence, armed with detailed and accurate financial reports. But John asked me to dive just a little bit deeper into some tax saving strategies that we have for REI. So it is crucial to discuss these tax saving strategies that can significantly enhance your financial efficiency. So first, depreciation benefits. As a real estate investor, you can leverage depreciation of your properties to offset income. By depreciating the cost of your property over its useful life, you effectively reduce your taxable income each year. It's essential to work with a knowledgeable bookkeeper and accountant who can help you accurately calculate and claim depreciation deductions. Also utilizing the 1031 exchanges. This allows you to defer paying capital gains taxes when you sell a property, as long as you reinvest its proceeds into another like-kind property. This strategy is not just about deferring taxes, but it's about using your capital more effectively to grow your real estate portfolio. For many real estate investors, mortgage interest is a significant expense. So what's the good news? This interest is generally tax deductible. This deduction can lower your taxable income, and it's key reason to why leveraging debt in real estate can be so powerful. Now, don't overlook the deduction available for operating expenses and repairs. Things like maintenance costs, property management fees, and even travel expenses related to your real estate activities can be deductible. So accurate bookkeeping is essential here to track these expenses throughout the year. Thanks to recent tax reforms, many real estate investors are now eligible for the pass-through deduction, allowing you to deduct up to 20% of your real estate business income. This is a significant deduction that can reduce your overall tax liability. And finally, consider the benefits of contributing to a self-directed retirement account. Certain types of retirement accounts, like a self-directed IRA or a solo 401k, can be used to invest in real estate, providing both tax advantage growth and additional avenues for investing in properties. Incorporating these tax saving strategies into your real estate investing plan can have a significant impact on your profitability. As specialized bookkeepers, Partners in Bookkeeping's role is to ensure you are well equipped with accurate financial data and insights to make the most out of these strategies. So if effective tax planning is an ongoing process, then it should be an integral part of your financial strategy as an REI. If you have any specific questions about these strategies or how they can be applied in your situation, feel free to reach out. We are here to help you navigate the complexities of your real estate investing and tax planning to maximize your success. I do want to open the floor if anybody has any specific questions at this time. This is your opportunity to seek clarity on any specific challenges you face in real estate investing, or to dive deeper in how our bookkeeping or coaching services can be tailored to your unique needs.
Thank you, Caitlin. I think you brought up some really good points there. And I know one of the things in particular, one size doesn't fit all. You kind of said that. And that's one reason I'm glad you showed up here today, because a lot of us do have very specific questions. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they'd like to go in a little bit deeper on their own personal situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here so you can see my face better. I have a Nebraska number. It's 308-660-2560. You could also check out my website. It's partnersinbookkeeping.net. There is hyphens between each word, so I'll go ahead and put that in the chat as well. Don't forget, bookkeeping has 3 double letters. So there's my, oops, I did not mean to be a direct message there for you, Denise. let me put that to everybody. Oh, maybe partnersinbookkeeping.net. There we go, everyone. There. Okay, so now you have my website as well, and you can book a consultation with me through that website to get a one-on-one Zoom call, which is where we can delve into how we can serve you individually and how each individual person takes a little bit different approach.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I wouldn't have got the hyphens right. I'm glad you put that in there.
Yes. So it's partners hyphen the word in hyphen bookkeeping.net for those watching the replay.
And three double letters. That's interesting. I never really.
It's the only English word. Bookkeeping, bookkeeper, the only English word that has 3 consecutive double letters.
Wow, that's a good trivia question right there.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much, Caitlin. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Sure. And what else we have? Okay, Bruce put his information in there. Let's see, Bruce, you're looking for, what was it? Siding. Okay. I'll just go ahead and verbally say that. Bruce Stotler is BruceStotler 11 at gmail.com, or 314-742-1810. And then Judy Labarge looks like she has another tuck pointing, Mark Copeland, 314-437-8682. All right. Well, very good conversations today. Good information. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share with us today before we call it a day? No, well, if nothing else, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. As you know, we will meet here again at 11 o'clock Central Time or noon Eastern Time. If you're on the East Coast, the West Coast, I guess it would be 9 a.m. So we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, everybody.